Welcome to the 2017-2018 NBA preview. Today we are covering the 15th ranked team, the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs, the Philadelphia 76ers. My name is Josh, your enviers. Like always, huge inspiration in Grantland, and also like always, this series isn't based off of who's going to win a championship. This is simply based off of win-loss record, and honestly, I feel like the Sixers, they're onto something this year if they're healthy. That's the key word, if they're healthy. Last year, they won 28 games. This year, I could see them winning tops 40 games. I know that's a huge stretch, but last year they almost won 30. And if Ben Simmons is healthy, Markelle Fultz is healthy, if Joel Embiid's healthy, they could easily win 40 games in the weak Eastern Conference. At least that's how I see it. Last year, I thought this team would be at the bottom of the NBA. I mean, they kind of were, but they weren't at the bottom. You know, it was the Brooklyn Nets that were at the bottom. And they got the first overall draft pick, which ended up being the Boston Celtics. So this team surprised me last year. I didn't think Joel Embiid by himself would be able to carry this team to almost 30 wins. And it sucks that he only played a few amount of games last season. And if he were to play at least more than half the games, this team would be a little bit higher last season. And honestly, that's the big reason why I don't trust the process just yet, considering they're a young team. Health is a huge concern. And we're going to take a look at the offseason moves, which I do like for this young team. They need veteran leadership, and I feel like the guys they got in the offseason were that. So let's take a look at the offseason for the Philadelphia 76ers to see how they improved from one of the worst teams to now possibly being one of the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference or higher. Who knows?
So here's what they got. They got JJ Redick and Amir Johnson. Amir Johnson, I'm not sure how many minutes he's going to be playing with this Philadelphia 76ers team, but JJ Redick for sure is going to be a starter. He's going to be able to teach the young guys, especially guys like Nick Stauskas. Maybe help him be a more consistent shooter. But what they lost was Gerald Henderson, Sergio Rodriguez, and a whole bunch of guys that you probably don't care about, but at the same time you probably do care about. A bunch of 10-day contracts and injured players. So we'll just leave it at that. They drafted Markelle Fultz at number 1, and the other 3 draft picks that they got won't be coming this season. So Markelle Fultz is essentially their only rookie besides Ben Simmons, who's going to have essentially his rookie year because he was hurt last season. Also, Furkan Korkmaz, he was the rookie they drafted a few years ago, and he's finally going to be playing for this Philadelphia 76ers team. Moving on, let's look at the rotation of the Sixers. The projected starting 5 looks like Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Robert Covington, JJ Redick, and Markelle Fultz. That's a solid lineup. I feel like you could replace Robert Covington with guys like Dario Saric or something along those lines, but I feel like he might be the best defender on the wing. Because JJ Redick, he's not going to be playing defense. Markelle Fultz might. Ben Simmons might. I don't know, it's their first year in the NBA, but you can't rely on JJ Redick to play defense, that's for sure. So Covington is a solid choice to be starting at that small forward spot, while their bench looks like Jahlil Okafor, if he's even in rotation. I know last year it wasn't the best year for Okafor. Holmes, Saric, Anderson, and McConnell. Those should be the key guys, and along with Nick Stauskas, who I don't have mentioned here.
So overall, this core is young. I like the pieces they added. I like that starting 5. If they're healthy, they could cause a problem in the Eastern Conference. And by problem, I mean make the playoffs by like this little of a margin. But this playoff spot is a playoff spot. And a team that has been rebuilding like the Sixers, it's good to see them climb their way to the top. And even though if that top isn't that high, they're climbing. And next year, they'll be better than they are this year, if everything goes right. So my question to the Philadelphia 76ers is, how many games do these guys play together? Do they get hurt, and then unfortunately that's their downfall? And also the other question is, how good is their coach Brett Brown?
Like I said, last year Ben Simmons was hurt, Joel Embiid was hurt, only played 31 games. Okafor, I'm not sure if it was a hurt problem or the team just wanted to trade him. I know one point during the season they told him not to travel with the team. Only played around 50 games. Unfortunately, the Sixers don't know what to do with Okafor, and that's kind of sad considering they did draft him 3rd overall. They shouldn't be treating him the way that they have been, along with Jared Bayless only playing 3 games. I think he signed for like a 2 to 3 year contract. Pretty hefty contract, so don't be surprised if they try to move Jared Bayless this season. Along with Robert Covington only playing 67 games, so a lot of their guys were hurt last season. and they still managed to win 28 games. That's 6 to 10 more wins than I expected them to actually win last season. So hopefully their starting five stays healthy, along with Okafor and even Bayless. Even though if he probably isn't the player that he used to be, he's still a scoring threat, taking away PT from some of the younger guys. But if it doesn't work, they can always trade him. They gotta at least play half the season together if they want at least a realistic shot of making the playoffs. And if you're a Sixers fan, I don't see missing the playoffs as a failure, considering just last year you were one of the worst teams in the league, and now we're talking about your team being in the playoffs. That's a huge accomplishment. Besides the Sixers, realistically, the only other team I could see coming out of the East and taking one of these 7th or 8th seed spots is the Detroit Pistons. Now, although the players have to stay healthy for the Sixers to win more games, this is the year where we're going to be able to understand, if healthy, if Brett Brown is a decent coach in the NBA. We haven't really got to see what he's all about. A lot of teams in these struggling positions that are rebuilding or don't know what they're doing with their organization, they like firing their coaches year after year, and I'm glad the Sixers have stuck around and kept Brett Brown for now going on 5 years this season. This season is probably his most talented roster he's able to coach for the Sixers in the past few years, so that should translate to more wins. And hopefully if things go wrong with the Sixers team, they don't fire Brett Brown just because they didn't make playoffs. They're most likely going to have a better record than they did last year, definitely higher than 28 wins. So it's going to be an exciting year to be a Sixer fan, and it's going to be an exciting year just watching this team. If Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz are all able to stay healthy, that's a huge if, but I'm banking on it, and I'm banking that the Sixers will make playoffs this season. Let me know in the comment section below how you feel about this Philadelphia 76ers squad. Can they make playoffs? Let me know.
So with that said, if you guys like this video, be sure to leave a like on it. It really helps my channel grow, considering I do take a long time and effort editing and rendering these videos. I'd be greatly appreciative of it.
Before you go, check out some of these other videos on screen right now, featuring the NBA previews past episodes. The link is in the description for the NBA preview playlist in case you want to watch the rest of the series, along with my Twitter. Follow me on Twitter @Enviers if you want to chat it up about the preview or anything basketball related. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.